Welcome to my Scrappin space. I'm Joni Martin. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator located in Southwest Wisconsin. And it's Man Card Monday in my Scrappin space. I'm here to share with you a masculine themed card. Let me get my face out of the way and let's talk paper crafting. So the paper packet I'm using is Timeless Plaid. And there are so many plaids in here, it takes 2 DSP sheets to fit it all in. And notice all these colors up here? These are all the colors that coordinate with this paper pack. So there's really a color for everyone. I've made adorable little bunny cards out of it. I've just made everything. But what I haven't made yet is what I would call a masculine card. So I paired this paper with a die cut from Storybook Moments. And Timeless Plaid and Storybook Moments are part of a mega suite. So they go together already. Look, the colors in this from Storybook Moments match perfectly with this. I added to it our Forever Plaid embossing folder because like it was meant to go with the Timeless Plaid paper, don't you think? And 2 dies that are part of a set that was released in March of 2025 as an online exclusive. Let's actually make a card here. I'm gonna get these pieces out of the way. But before we can start, we need to cut our paper. And I thought I'd take an opportunity and give you some tips on how I handle a 6x6 paper. So I want to be able to have for my card, a card front, a piece of paper for the inside, because we want to bring the front to the inside, and we're not sending it out in a naked envelope. So I want to be able to have enough for my envelope. So to do that, I'm going to show you the diagram, and the diagram will be on my blog along with the directions, the numbers like all my measurements, the supplies I used. But I cut off this long piece first, then I cut my card front, and then I just need a 1/2 inch piece for the card insert, so you have an extra 1/2 inch to do something with. So let's cut first, and then we'll make our card. So with your paper cutter, I'm using the Stampin' Up one because I love it, but whatever kind of paper cutter you have, there'll be a lip at the top. And we're gonna line our paper up with that, and we're gonna go at 2 1/4. I'm lined up at 2 1/4. I'm holding it in place against that lip, okay? And I'm gonna cut, pushing my blade up towards that lip. If I start up here and come down, I'm holding the paper this way here, and then you're pulling it the other way, and that's not gonna help get a straight cut. But as long as it's tight against that lip and you're holding it and you cut, I'm at 2 1/4. This piece is for my envelope flap. We'll set that aside. Then what's already left is 3 3/4. I don't need to cut that one, but I do need to cut it at 5 inches. That's going to be for my card front. And then I just want a little 1/2 inch strip for the top. And always, it's resting against the lip, and I'm pushing up towards that lip. I have 2 pieces. Okay. Then I have 2 die cuts here. One of which I'm going to cut from Basic Beige because that's the neutral that's used in Storybook Moments, and I know that because it tells me on the back of the paper pack. But I also want to mat it in crumb cake to mimic the mat that I have here. So here's the mat I'm using with the card. And if I cut this from the center, you're not going to see it. I'll show you what I mean. And I don't need to grab another piece of crumb cake. So let's die cut next. And when we die cut, we're using plates 1. And this tells me it right here, so I know I don't have to remember, but we're going to use plates 1, 2, and 2 of plates 3. I'm just grabbing a second plate 3. My plates get lots of love. I'm looking for a couple that don't look too banged up. All right, so I have in the machine 1, 2, and 3. Then I'm going to set in the machine my mat with the die in the center, and that's important. I don't want to put it to one corner. I want it in the center. I'm going to put it so you can see it. Okay, that's there. Then I'm just gonna, I have a scrap of basic beige and I'm cutting that out. Then I'm gonna put a plate on the top. And I'm just gonna run it through. And see how smooth that goes? Your machine should go that smooth too. Oh, I'm throwing things around though. Sorry about that, folks. We're gonna run it through. This is not going very far because we're gonna emboss next. So I'm just gonna set it to the side. So I have cut from the center a mat I use for the front, and I can still use this mat for my card base. And I have cut my basic beige for the front. We're going to set those two aside. I'm going to put these dies away before I lose them so they're ready for card class this week. Okay, let's talk about our card front. So that piece that we cut, 3 3/4 by 5, this is 4 by 5 1/4. So it's going to fit right there. And only you and I are going to know that I cut something out of the back. I'm going to be running this through the embossing machine, which can put a lot of pressure on your paper. So this is not the job for liquid glue, because when you put that pressure on, if you don't have the glue to the center, it's going to push out the sides. I don't want to put any adhesive in the center because I don't have a center left. So I'm just grabbing my Seal Plus tape runner. Any kind of tape runner would work. I'm just a fan of Seal Plus. And I'm going to put this here. I have no adhesive back here. You know, sometimes when I do this, I forget because I automatically usually put adhesive in the center. We don't want to do that with this one. Okay, so I grabbed Forever Plaid, because what else would you use with a plaid paper? And I'm going to set it in here. And I'm going to use the lines that are already in the embossing folder to line it up. Now, this needs plates 1 and 4. So we're getting rid of 2 and 3, and we're just going to grab 4. So this is what it's going to look like. I'm going to make sure that the fold is first and the Stampin' Up logo is on top. Then we're going to run that one through. And really, at that point then, most of our work will be done. Oh, guys, I say to you 3, and I put 4 on here. You can tell right away. It doesn't feel like there's any tension on it. Yep. So, plate 4, the correct one, is the gray one. There we go. Then we're just going to run it through. You want to feel like the machine is kind of gripping it, like it's doing some work. And with the plate 3, it was just sliding through. Okay, so now we're done with our cut and emboss machine. There we go. So we have our embossed card front. I went with Old Olive. I went with Old Olive because it's a color in the plaid, and it's a color in our little fishing, whatever this animal is. I think it's pretty cute. I think that would be a great Father's Day card. I'm making it birthday cards because that's what I need, but you could use it for lots of things. You know what else would be great for is a retirement card. Okay, this is pretty embossed. You're going to need to be pretty generous with your glue, and we're using glue because it's so heavily embossed. We want that glue to kind of get in the crevices there. Just like so. There we go. And I'm going to open up my card base. That's easier for me to get everything straight. So I'm going to start it straight on my grid on my glass mat. And I'm going to put this down. And once I have it down, when I have it that heavily embossed, I tend to turn it over and just kind of make sure my glue is spread out and that everywhere is tight. There we go. Now we have these two, and we're going to just glue these two, or attach these two together. They're going to go on the card flat because we're going to be using lots of dimensionals to pop up our other pieces. So you have to kind of balance. Everything cannot be on a dimensional or your card will be way too thick to mail. And you know, if you were handing it to somebody, that would be fine. But yep. There we go. And then I'm just kind of putting it not centered, kind of in the corner here. And again, I'm going to push down so it catches. There we go. I have 2 die cuts I grabbed from Storybook Moments. I have this person, and I have a little grass that they're walking through. So I'll show you what I'm doing here. I'm attaching them to the basic beige mat, and that's where we want dimensionals. If you haven't used dimensionals before, think of foam that are sticky on both sides. So that's going to go on there. And I'm going to peel them off and do as my friend Jennifer tells me, control, contain the backs of the dimensionals, or else they go everywhere. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm because I still have to fit, let's call this the landscape at the bottom. This one is going kind of close to the top. And you have a double mat to fit it within. Let's see how I kind of left some space here. All right, this is getting dimensionals too, but it's just getting them on the bottom. I don't want a double layer on top of there. So we just need one here. And I'm making sure that it doesn't go on the outside. So when I turn this over, you can't see dimensionals. So like if I'd gotten it any higher in that corner, you would see it. That's not what we want to see. All right. We'll take those backs off. And then I am lining this up closer to the bottom of the crumb cake mat, but it will overlap right there. Look at that. Now, I want some embellishment, but I obviously didn't want bling. So I reached for, oops, I'm throwing things around here, pecan pie and clear ribbon adhesive. Pecan pie is a great neutral. And depending on how I hold these in the light, you may or may not be able to see. Actually, you can probably see it better with the white, but it's in the pecan pie too. There's like a black line running through it. That's why they're called ribboned embellishments. It does just add a little extra. We're going to put 3 on here, and I typically do 3 on a card front, and I do them in a roughly triangular shape, which just means that one of my embellishments is going to hang out by itself, and the other 2 are going to be closer together. So that one can go there. And this one, another way to get these off, it doesn't have to be as hard as I'm making it look. I need to replace the putty end on here, and I haven't done that, so that's why we're doing this. There we go. Our card front is done. So as I said, I need birthday cards. So I have a happy birthday. Now, oftentimes you see me cut a paper all the way across, but this is 3 3/4. It doesn't go all the way across. So we're going to make it look, and that's partly because I just want to be able to use up one sheet of paper for one card. I'll show you what we're going to do so it looks like we meant it not to go all the way across. I'm going to cut a slit straight up, and I can decide how tall I want it. That was pretty tall, but that's okay. I'm going to do it from the back so hopefully you can see. I'm going to cut one corner to the top of my slit. I'm going to cut another corner to the top of my slit. And I now have what we call a banner end. And we're going to attach that to the top of our card. I love this check on the background too. This paper pack has so much to offer. We made Easter cards out of it, and there were 3 different prints they could pick in class to use from it, and they all look just so cute. And this is just going to go across the top here. Just like that. But when we put that on the inside, we just don't have a blank card anymore. We have a sentiment with the paper bringing the front of the card to the inside. Like we meant to do that. There we go. The card head. That's such an easy thing to do, but shows that you put some thought into the card. So we're almost there, folks. Yes, we have finished our card, but are we done? No, because, say it with me, no naked envelopes. So let's do that next. The first piece we cut was 2 1/4 by 6. We're going to fold our envelope flap back, put some glue on just the envelope flap. Just like that, just around the outside. A little bit more there. And then I'm going to take the edge of my paper and push it up against. So that's why I have the body of the envelope standing up. Kind of gives me a wall to push against. There we go. And we're going to trim like so. Look at that. So really, from a 6 by 6 piece of paper, for one card, we have used everything but this. That's a pretty good use of paper. There's our card. Timeless Plaid Goes Fishing. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it more than you know. If you liked what you saw, please share it with your crafty friends. Until next time, take care and keep crafting. It's good for you.